Is Hurston Waldrep the greatest pitcher of all time? We'll talk about it on today's postcast of Locked On Braves. So let's get into it.
This is the Braves Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Atlanta Braves. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to the Locked On Braves postcast, the solo edition here for your host, Jake Mastriani. Lindsay, unfortunately, not with us tonight, so bear with me as I work out the kinks here for the Locked On Braves postcast. Lindsay normally does all of this, as you're going to see today, but Lindsay had to deal with the family emergency. I'm sure he would appreciate the prayer, so it'll just be me tonight because I wanted to come in and talk about Hurston Waldrep and his performance on a Wednesday night against the Chicago White Sox. A very short 1-0 win and a series win for the Atlanta Braves that have now won 10 of their last 12 games. And they're hot once again. Playoffs not out of the question here for some of us. John saying Waldrep Cy Young 2026. Give me the odds. I mean, the way he is pitching last night, and just a shameless, selfless plug here. Maybe kind of coincidentally, I posted a podcast today talking about Hurston Waldrep and whether or not this is sustainable. And I pointed to the fact that the mechanical changes he's made and the pitch mix change that he's made is certainly given him the opportunity to stick in the big league rotation, which, let's be honest, if you were tracking and following Hurston Waldrep earlier this year, even, it was looking like that might be out of the question, at least for right now. And he has turned his season around. Before we get into all of that, make sure that you subscribe to Locked On Sports Atlanta on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast, as well as Locked On Braves. Appreciate all your support there. And again, Lindsay should be back with us tomorrow night. But it was a 1-0 win for the Atlanta Braves over the White Sox on a Wednesday. Like I said, under a 2-hour game here between the Braves and the White Sox, and no offense in this one after both teams combined for over 40 runs in the first two games of this series. It was a bit of a rain-soaked night here. I'm sure that had something to do with the conditions and the low offensive output, but it's also just a getaway game, which we know the Braves are usually a bit down for that as well. Yeah, an hour and 59 minutes in this one, shortest game of the year for the Atlanta Braves. And the big story, obviously, Hurston Waldrep. And since he has rejoined the Braves, he has been the best pitcher in baseball, certainly one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. And he did it again tonight with maybe his best performance so far. He goes 7 innings, just 4 hits allowed, 1 walk, no earned, 7 strikeouts. And he did so on 87 pitches. And to me, that's one of the more impressive things for Hurston Waldrep. Again, if you've been tracking his career, and, obviously I followed the college game very closely, as does Lindsay, I know, in the SEC. That's always been the struggle for him, is just the control and the ability to throw strikes. And for him to be able to get through 7 innings and that few number of pitches, 87 pitches, is just truly remarkable and shows how far along he has come and how much improvement he has made with these changes. Look, we talk a lot about the Braves development staff and what they are able to do, especially on the pitching side of things. This might be one of the best turnarounds that this staff has made. I am telling you, you can go back and listen to the podcast, and it's not just me. It was pretty much everybody that covers this team was talking about, man, you got to move Hurston Waldrep out of the rotation. You got to put him in the bullpen, see what he can do there. It's an absolute train wreck in the rotation right now. And Braves, to their credit, made some small changes. You can look at the mechanical changes before and after. It's not anything completely drastic, or at least it doesn't look visually. I'm sure it was for Waldrep, but it has made a huge difference and a huge impact. And I don't want to reiterate too much of what I already said on the podcast today. Again, you can go back and give that one a listen. But I will say one of the things I talked about is that these mechanical changes and these pitch mix changes, those are great. And they're definitely a big reason why he's had the turnaround right now. But the biggest thing in my mind, and where I kind of started out the postcast here, is that it's allowed him to throw strikes and throw strikes in the zone. It still is control over command. Even tonight, you watch some of his pitches. I mean, it's a slider up, it's a splitter up, and then it's a great slider down and a great splitter down. It's still heavily inconsistent, but it's it's inconsistent in the strike zone, if that makes sense. And the pitches are so good and have so much movement, especially now that he's moved away from the four-seamer. It's hard for hitters to square that up. So it's just truly remarkable. Again, the mechanical changes are great. The pitch mix changes are great, and they definitely play into this. But for me, more than anything, it's just been his ability to throw pitches in the strike zone, I think, has made the biggest difference for Hurston Waldrep in part of this change, along with everything else that we talked about. He threw 53 pitches in the strike zone in the outing tonight, 34 pitches outside of the strike zone. I mean, you would have looked at that for Hurston Waldrep at the beginning of the year or even last year, and more often than not, you were seeing him throw more pitches outside of the strike zone than in. And tonight he threw 53 pitches in the strike zone and only 34 outside of the strike zone. And it's just been a huge improvement for Hurston Waldrep. You got to give the Braves the staff, a huge credit for that. Kenneth talking about the two-seamer. That's been a big difference for him as well. Only threw it 9 times on it. He really leaned into the splitter. It's really the first time, at least that I can remember in his 4 outings since coming up, that he's really dominated with one pitch. Obviously, he used a lot of them. And baseball savants really had trouble picking up his pitches. I think part of it just because they are kind of sporadic and inconsistent with where they land. But they got him throwing 35 splitters, 18 curveballs, 11 cutters, 9 sinkers, 2 seamers, same thing, 9 sliders, and only 5 four-seam fastballs. And that's just kind of a wild split for Hurston Waldrep if you followed him at all in his career, when it was mostly just four-seam split slider, to see him being able to incorporate different fastball shapes now. And it's really made all of his other pitches that much better. You look at the splitter, which has always been his best pitch, and he led with it tonight. 8 whiffs on 21 swings at a 38% whiff rate. His CSW percentage, which is what I talked about last time that he pitched, which was so impressive, 32% CSW percentage tonight. That's called strikes plus whip. Anything over 30 is really, really good. And so he did that once again. 30% whiff rate just overall is fantastic with 14 called strikes. Only 4 hard hit balls again, so wasn't giving up a lot of hard contact. Just really impressive stuff. And again, another comment from Kenneth here saying his confidence is sky high. And I can't tell you enough how big that is for a pitcher. I mean, we've seen Braves pitchers come up. Kyle Wright's always the first one that comes to mind for me. 5th overall draft pick, a lot of high expectations coming out of Vanderbilt, really big stuff. And it took him a while to really gain that confidence to be able to succeed at the big league level. And for Hurston Waldrep, again, high draft pick, not, a top 5 pick, but a first round pick. And he comes up really, very, very quickly and gets his debut, and it goes terribly. And I've got to imagine it was a big, blow to his confidence. And so to see him just continue to have the success and gain that confidence, I think is huge for him as well. And certainly great for the Braves, great for the future of this rotation and what they could be in 2026 and beyond. Video Moon saying Braves 2025 playoff starting pitching roster sale. Waldrep, Wentz, a solid 3 there. I've heard. Waldrep's been the Braves' best pitcher. He and Joey Wentz, certainly since the All-Star break, have been their 2 best pitchers, and it's been a lot of fun to see. Again, I don't know that he's going to pitch to a sub-1 ERA for the rest of his career, but it's a nice run that he's on right now. I talked about this too, or I'm going to talk about this on a podcast that comes out tomorrow, where we discuss Drake Baldwin's Rookie of the Year case, and the fact that, who could be, or I guess I talked about it earlier this week. I've done so many podcasts this week. Who could be that next Rookie of the Year candidate? Waldrep might exceed his rookie status this year, which would hurt his chances of winning that award next season, is the only kind of downside. But either way, if the Braves have turned Waldrep into this guy, where he's a, 2-3, number 3 starter, after what he was at the beginning of this year, where it looked like there was just no shot and you were going to have to move him to the rotation. It's a huge win, even if he does lose that rookie status and loses the chance to get Rookie of the Year next season. John says, let's not get crazy. Someone sub-1 ERA, it's probably 1.5. And maybe you're right. Maybe it is more of just a 1.5 ERA for Hurston Waldrep when this regression eventually hits. But it has been a lot of fun to see him pitch and see the run that he has gone on. The rest of the bullpen obviously shutting it down. Pierce Johnson, a really quick inning. Iglesias, as the rain got heavier, he's pitching quick, just 8 pitches. Was able to get through the 9th inning there. So great work by the bullpen as well. But the story of the night, obviously, Hurston Waldrep, the run that he just continues to be on. Not a lot to talk about on the other side. Not a ton of offense for the Braves in this one. In fact, their only run came part of a gift from the White Sox. We'll get into that here next. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Do you have subscriptions that you forgot? I found 2 the other day that I had no idea. I don't know how we got subscribed to them, but somehow you do. I'm sure it was my kids just clicking around on something, but was able to spot them and get rid of them and save me some money. And Monarch Money also helps budgeting for couples. Me and my wife getting ready to go on our 10-year anniversary trip because we are in control of our finances and we know exactly where all of our money is going. Don't let financial opportunities slip through your cracks. Not through your cracks, through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONMLB. Lindsay's going to kill me for that one, but I got another ad read for you that hopefully will do a little bit better on here, and that's 5-hour energy transfusion. You need that boost. I need that boost right now. I am running on very low energy, and it's time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-hour energy transfusion. This grape, ginger, and lime flavored shot brings the iconic taste of a golf course favorite to a non-alcoholic boost, perfect for sinking birdies or making great memories with friends. It's a hole-in-one for your energy game, whether you're out on the course or just need a little extra push to power through your day. 5-hour energy transfusion delivers the clubhouse flavor you love without ever leaving the green. Golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors. The grape ginger lime flavor of 5-hour energy transfusion gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without leaving the course or having to chase down the bev cart. Now you can amp up the fun even more. Just buy, snap, and enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for 2 to any golf tournament in the USA outside of the Masters. Tee up that trip. Visit 5hewin.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters tournament, and this offer ends October 31st, 2025. All right, Lindsay, I'll try not to mess this up too much the rest of the way here, but thank you all for bearing with me here on this solo edition, jumping in here without a Lindsay. But appreciate all your comments and everybody in here. Over 200 people that were probably expecting Lindsay and got me. So for that, I apologize. Well, let's talk about the offensive side of things, where there honestly wasn't a lot to talk about tonight, but it's okay because the Braves won and they did it quickly, beating out the rain. It was the only run tonight came on an error thanks to the White Sox, which we will definitely take. Ball hit by Ozzie Albies, scoring Marcell Ozuna, who had a double previously in the inning. But you look at it tonight, 1 run, 4 hits, no walks from the Atlanta Braves. I didn't have my research team look this up beforehand, but there can't be too many games this year where the Braves had no walks. A team that has walked a ton this year, and they have no walks tonight. 7 strikeouts, 1 extra base hit, that double by Ozuna. 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position. They hit into 2, or they turned 2 double plays on the defensive side of things, but not a lot happening offensively for the Atlanta Braves. Acuna with the hit, Ozuna with the double, and Nacho Alvarez 2 hits. I talked about this on the podcast. Austin Riley still dealing with that abdominal issue, going to Philadelphia for some more testing there for a possible hernia. Hate that, obviously, and want to see him get back and healthy, but it does give us more of a look at Nacho Alvarez, and just seems to be getting better. The average up to 247. It is just a 639 OPS right now, but hey, that is 8 points higher than what Ozzie Albies has, and nearly 100 points higher than Nick Allen. So it's been impressive to see what Nacho Alvarez has done. And again, not a great night offensively for the Atlanta Braves, but they were able to get the win. And the offense has been great lately. They deserve a night off, and it's good when you can have a night off and still win. Mass Boo says Braves winning by 1 run over losing by 1 run must be a thing now. And look, you always knew in the first half all those 1-run losses were going to eventually turn around and even out. It's just at this point, you just put yourself in too big of a hole. And obviously with the rotation falling apart, but those things generally even out. Jonathan Martin says, can Profar play second base at all? He can be there. Not very well. He hasn't played it in a long time, or at least not extensively in a long time. The last time he did, the metrics were not very good for Jurickson Profar. But yeah, I mean, you could certainly put him there. But we'll see what happens in the offseason. I mean, Ozzy's been swinging the bat better here as of late as well, and his defense has gotten better at second base. I do think they're going to pick up that option no matter what. Just really doesn't make sense to decline it based on the money. John, Nick Allen's Gold Glove 2025. What do we do with him next year? Long contact bench player. I'd love to keep Nick Allen around as that, utility guy, but you also, if Nacho isn't your starter, then he's probably your utility guy that can play, second, short, third for you. So I just don't know that there's going to be room for him, but I mean, I'd love to keep him around for defensive replacement with that glove. Say you wanted to start Jurickson Profar at second base, you could do some things there with Nick Allen, move him around. So I think there's definitely some versatility and some value in keeping around Nick Allen. But I just don't know that you can go into a season next year as great as he has been defensively with a guy that has a 550 OPS for you. I mean, that is just a really huge hole in your lineup. Trip Bishop, Matt Olson, Gold Glove 2025. He better, absolutely. Matt Olson, it was reported too that he's dealing with an injury, but as you would expect, not coming out of the lineup. We'll see if that streak comes to an end. Sticker said it looks like it's something that he can play through, but he is certainly currently dealing with an injury, but hopefully nothing major there. All right, that will do it for this postcast episode. Again, apologies for not being Lindsay and not being as smooth with the transitions as he is on the postcast, but wanted to come on here and talk about Hurston Waldrep and his great performance and what he has been doing here lately. Make sure you're subscribed on Locked On Sports Atlanta, subscribe to Locked On Braves, all those fun things. Thanks so much for joining me here on this postcast edition of Locked On Braves, and we will talk to you next time.